Previously, the trail led higher, colder, quieter. Now, the real challenge begins. If you're just joining me, this is part 2 of my winter trek to Everest Base Camp in January, where the air is thinner, the wind sharper, and every step asks for more than the last. So as you can see, the mountain weather changes very quickly. I've got my wet gear on, expecting a little bit of snow. Guys, this is the route we're taking. I don't know if you're going to see this, but see down there, that's where we're going to stop for lunch, there, on the green blue roofs. And then, I don't know if this will pick up, but you'll see a bit of a zigzag all the way at the top. But Tengboche is over on the other side of that mountain ridge. Experiencing now just a little bit of snowfall. So Namche was about 2.5 hours behind me, and the walk so far has been absolutely fantastic. A few uphills, a few downhills, but pretty much kind of sandy soil terrain. Walking through the mountains, the fir trees, a little bit of snowfall. Very, very enjoyable. Legs, fine. Breathing, fine. Enjoying this bit. This is Dennis, my lifesaver. He's our porter. So here's my lunch for today. Just scored some mint tea, fried noodles with stuff. Weather is not so good. It's snowing, so we are going to Tengboche today. 3,880 meters. Climb up. So ladies and gents, this is Tengboche. Sparse, unlike Namche. Oh, we really are up in the mountains now, aren't we? So another godsend, a sitting down toilet. This is how cold it is. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. This is ice in the basin. That's how cold it is here. So the Tengboche accommodation. Nice. Have a little bit of that. What's the old view like? Oh yeah. If you just look past the tin roof, that's a nice view. So I've had a bit of snowfall during the night. I don't know if you can make out these mountains surrounding us. And the beautiful clear sky in Orion's belt. Good morning, day 5, and I'm feeling alive. Although rather cold. It's a 7-8 hour hike to Pheriche today, with an altitude of 4,250 metres. So that's 7 AM. The weather has cleared up nicely. Although we're in the shade of a mountain, you can see the clear blue skies. Look how cold it was in my room last night. Frozen. Himalayan snow, pure Himalayan snow. So ladies and gents, in the background there, that's where we've just come from. That's where we stayed last night, Tengboche. It's taken us about an hour and a half, sorry, an hour and a half I would say.
As you trek these trails, you're often joined by friendly mountain strays, quiet companions who seem to adopt you for a while.
So just trekking through one of these villages. I don't actually know the name of it. I'll have a tea break soon, I think. See how they heat the kettle? Stopped off for a little cheeky tea break.
As I kept climbing, I started to notice the landscape changing around me. It was a fond farewell to the sheltered trails under the pine canopies and a hello to the raw exposed mountainsides. The air felt sharper up here. The climb was steady and relentless, but strangely, this stretch became one of my favourites. Maybe because being out here in the open with nothing but sky, rock and horizon. And you see, down there, well, that's my accommodation for the next 2 days. I'm not entirely sure why, but I felt really excited and I instantly warmed to Pheriche. As I walked down this high street, it just felt like home.
Right, let's do the reveal of the room in Pheriche. Oh, very nice. I think it very may well be another cold night tonight. It's all part of the fun. It's all part of the experience. So lap it all up. A cold night. Heading into breakfast now. Hey, good morning. It's day 6 now in Pheriche, and it's a balmy -19. Today's an acclimatisation day. We're going to head up to 4,800 metres. So we're going to climb high, sleep low. So this will allow my body for tomorrow to make micro adjustments so I can hopefully deal with the altitude when we're up there tomorrow actually. Anyway. So I've arrived at the top of my checkpoint for today, 470 metres. Up here for about half an hour just to acclimatise, and right now my body is doing overtime in terms of creating more red blood cells to carry oxygen around my body to help with my breathing. Anyway,
stopping for a snack up here, high in the mountains, felt surprisingly special. Nothing fancy, just a simple bite to eat in the sun and the wind and the mountain backdrop.
Okay, so altitude from a breathing point of view at this point seems to be okay.
As I made my way back down to the tea house, the trail for tomorrow stretched out below me, winding through the vast valley before fading into the distance. I didn't know it yet, but that path was quietly holding a little drama in store.
Day 7, Everest Heaven. It's -9 today, so a bit warmer than yesterday. We've got about a 8k hike to an elevation of 4,900 metres, so getting into the altitude zone well and truly now.
Feeling strong, I slipped into a steady trekking rhythm, keeping pace with my porter. But just around 20 minutes after leaving the tea house, my fellow trekker began to feel unwell. My guide stayed back to assess the situation, and the porter doubled back with the kit bag, leaving me to continue alone up the valley.
I'll just stop for another drink in the energy bar. Body's beginning to change. More difficult to breathe.
Looking back down the valley, I could just make out 3 tiny figures moving slowly in my direction. 30 minutes later, I glanced back again and saw my fellow trekkers' plan B unfolding, continuing the journey, not on foot this time, but on horseback.
There's my restaurant for lunch. Thukla. There we go, Thukla. I seem to go to lunch now, a bit of tomato soup and some ginger and honey tea. This is the route, following that white trail.
At the Thukla Pass, there was a must-visit location for trekkers to pay their respects to those who have never made it back and have lost their lives on the surrounding peaks, including Everest.
Behind those mountains, there's China. Right, let's just be very, very careful now. So near, tomorrow is Everest. What I don't want to happen is to have a fall, a slip, a sprained ankle. Lobuche, Lobuche everyone. Altitude home, damn right. Ooh. Let's check out our place, shall we? So, early night tonight. It's a 6 AM start tomorrow as we get up to Everest. So, have some fodder, have some drink, have a wee, brush my teeth, get to bed, get up, bright and breezy. So this is my final reading before the ascent tomorrow. Yeah. I think it's a yes. That's good. Just a few more follow-up questions and then...
Any headache?
No headaches.
Eating good?
Eating okay.
Okay.
So, quick update. The chap who came up on the horse, he's developed AMS, acute mounted sickness. So, the altitude's got him and they're trying to arrange a helivac for him now. So, that's how real it is up here. It can be life-threatening. So I'm just waiting for my breakfast. I feel strange. Sat with a headache all last night. My stomach got bad stomach ache. Just want to sleep. Guess these are all the symptoms of altitude sickness. So it's now 7 AM. It's cold, really cold. My drinks bottle's frozen just from this hike this morning. Only filled that up with, warm water about an hour and a half ago. I'm heading up 4k to Gorak Shep, and then from Gorak Shep, that's where we get to the fun zone to base camp. That's another 4k. And then we'll return back from base camp to Gorak Shep. That's where I'll be staying tonight. So that's another 4k back down. So 12k in total. Rocks, rocks, more rocks.
And you may notice to my right, down below, is the Cumber ice flow.
The ruggedness, the wilderness. This is ice. So slowly, slowly.
Approaching Gorak Shep, this tiny windswept
Gorak Shep.
outpost feels like the final frontier. It's the last stop before Everest Base Camp, where trekkers pause before the final push.
Let's see what my accommodation looks like, shall we? Let's have a look. Okay, it seems to be the most... Oh, it's freezing in here. It's the most modest they've been in.
After a high carb lunch, that was it, the final 4 kilometres to base camp. Even though the sun was shining, you start to understand and truly respect what conditions on Everest must feel like. The cold cut deep. The terrain was stark, harsh and unforgiving. Almost no vegetation. The occasional bird overhead and an eerie silence broken only by my footsteps and breath.
In the Everest zone now, I'll tell you. The scale of these mountains are so majestic.
Pausing for a moment, I looked up at Everest's peak, just barely rising above the surrounding mountains. From here, it was easy to imagine the brutal conditions waiting up there.
The only one at base camp. That's why you do it in January.
And I do what I usually do at these sorts of places. I touch the stone to get a connection. So, this is it, base camp, marked by a simple glacial rock monument standing quietly in the harsh windswept environment, with the majestic mountains stretching endlessly behind it. This is exactly why I chose to do this trek in January. The solitude, the peace, the rare chance to experience it without crowds of Instagram-hungry trekkers. A moment of stillness, a pause for gratitude, and a humbling reminder of just how small we really are in the presence of these giants. To wrap up this journey, all that remained was the 2-day trek back to Lukla, mostly downhill. I've linked a separate video in the top right showing my descent. The return brought mixed emotions. There was a touch of sadness as the adventure drew to a close, but also relief and a new sense of comfort in this mountain world. I kept glancing back up the trail, smiling at the steep climb behind me, glad this time I was heading down. If you have enjoyed this journey, please consider subscribing for more adventures. And if Everest Base Camp in January is on your list, I hope this has given you a real sense of what awaits. I only have one thing left to say.
That's a wrap. EBC January 2026 now done. And boy, what a ride! Bring on the next adventure! Yeah!